thing. But we trained, I think, for maybe a year or something like that, and you know, it was a beneficial training relationship. And you know, he helped me with my wrestling. I was helping him with the stand-up, and now we fighting each other.
He kind of intimated that it was because you guys started to know you might fight each other and that they had to separate you. Is that how you remember it?
No, that's not really. That wasn't any concern of mine. Back then, he was fighting in WC, and I was fighting UFC, and at that time, there wasn't any talk about merging the two organizations. So that was never really, I mean, a concern of mine at that time. But I mean, of course, it's always a possibility when you're fighting in the same weight class.
Martin, you said he taught you wrestling. Is that, would you say that's a fair assessment?
No, I think that's a pretty big overstatement, pushing the issue. I could wrestle before, but she showed me some good moves. You know, he's a good wrestler. He's a two-time American champion, and of course I learned some good wrestling from him. But I know how to wrestle before that as well.
Martin, how did you react when you heard that Anderson Silva was taking a break? Because the odds of a title fight against GSP are better because of it.
Yeah, of course I want to fight for the title, but I got to beat Johny first, and GSP's got to beat Condit first, and then we'll worry about that afterwards. But so you can come ask me after I knock out Johny.
What do you think of the main event?
I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm gonna go get my fight done and hopefully get back in the locker room and enjoy the fight.
Do you think that Carlos has what it takes?
I think Carlos got a great chance of beating GSP. You know, he's dangerous, and he might lose the first couple of rounds, but he's dangerous through the whole fight, and he can catch him with a flying knee or something crazy. He throws crazy stuff. You know, he'll take a chance, throw spinning elbows or whatever. So GSP's got to be careful. He might get caught with something.
You represent the new guard of the welterweight division. How do you see George St-Pierre as a fighter, or more like as an idol?
No, I see him as a fighter and as a competitor that I might fight. You know. But I'm also a fan of the sport. I enjoy watching him fight, you know, because he's a great fighter. He's the champ for a reason, because he's very good. So I enjoy watching his fights as well. But more than anything, I see him as a competitor that I want to knock out.
Do you think the top of the division has really closed the gap on?
Sorry, I don't know where.
Has the top of the division really closed the gap on him, say, from 2 or 3 years ago, do you think?
That's the top of the division, close to what?
Closed the gap on George, where you know, it's a lot more competitive now than it was.
I definitely think it's a very competitive division. There's a lot of tough guys, and in this sport, when the top guys fight each other, you know, any given night anybody can win, because all it takes is one mistake. So you know, that's what makes GSP's title run so impressive, because he's continuously beating
Martin,
some of the best guys.
When you look at
Sorry,
when you look at Johnny's skill set from now to when you fought him, what areas do you think he's improved when you guys?
Oh, obviously he's improved the striking a lot, because when he started he was very raw. I think he's still a little raw, but he's gotten a lot slicker and he's gotten a lot better. But he's, you know, most of all, he's just a heavy-handed hitter, you know. And but of course he's improved everywhere. You know, his wrestling was his biggest strength, and I think it still is. But he's got heavy hands to back it up, and he's got a pretty solid jiu-jitsu game as well.
He believes that his heavy hands will be the difference. Why won't that be the difference?
I can eat a good shot, and I've proved that in a lot of my fights. You know, of course I'm not planning on getting hit, but it's a fight. I'm sure I'm going to get hit eventually, but I can eat a good shot. I'm not worried. I'll dish it right back.
Do you have any advice for GSP before his fight?
Advice for GSP? I'd say take Condit down. I think that's his game plan. I think his game plan is to take Condit down and stay on top and work some ground and pound.
Now, if you were to be deemed as a #1 contender, who do you like to fight, GSP or?
I want to fight the winner, because the winner is the champ, of course. But I already have a win over Condit, and GSP is considered the all-time best welterweight. So that's the guy I'd like to beat. I want to beat the best. So that's the guy I'd prefer to fight.
Martin, this is your third fight this year. How have you, in terms of your body responding to 3 fight camps in one calendar year? Is that the kind of schedule you like, or has it been tough having 3 big fights?
Yeah, so far so good. I I had a knee surgery after my last fight, so I took a little time off to heal that up. But overall, my body feeling good. There's always minor bruises, but that's how it is when you're a fighter, you know, and you're training for a fight.
With that in mind, should you win on Saturday night and you'd be deemed the #1 contender, would you like that fight as soon as possible?
Of course, I'm never going to say no to a title fight. I'll take it right after. I'll stay in the cage and take him on afterwards. But you know, it depends on how banged up. Sometimes you go in to have a fight, you feel great right after, and sometimes you feel like you want to want to sleep for a week, depending on how much you got banged up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And what do you make of, obviously a lot of talk Anderson Silva, GSP. For yourself, obviously that would affect you as well. What do you make of the whole situation?
I'd much rather see Anderson Silva fight John Jones, but first I got to beat Johny Hendricks, and first GSP's got to beat Condit. Before that even is a problem. So that's what I focus on. I'm sure that's what GSP focus on as well.
I know you said, Martin, in the past that you've been critical of being a bit of a slow starter. How do you stop from doing that and be able to do sometimes what you do in the second round in the first round?
I think it's a training mentality. I got to be better at coming in, starting hard right off the bat in the sparring rounds as well. In training, just going at it from the get-go there. Because I used to be a real fast starter. I got a lot of first-round stoppage wins. And somehow along the way, I started to become a slow starter. But it's a mentality you can change in training.
Any key wrestlers that you brought in for this camp, and you expect wrestling to be a big part of this fight?
I definitely expect him to take me down. I'm sure he's going to test out and try to catch me with his big hands, but he's going to shoot for takedowns as well. And I've had a lot of good wrestlers to work with. We have a lot of good wrestlers at Extreme Couture where I train, and they've been shooting on me and getting me prepared for the fight.
Well, the other day I was looking, I saw that you've been considered the underdog in 6 of your last 7 fights as far as betting odds go, and I'm wondering why you think that is. I mean, here you are, 1 win potentially away from a title shot, and do you like being considered the underdog all the time?
You know what? I don't worry too much about the odds. In my mind, I'm always the favorite.